First of all, I want to thank FAE. Without FAE, the Midwest Sportsman's Classic would be non-existent. So they are putting on a prize in their booth that kind of is special to us because I believe it's a $500 gift card to Real World Wildlife Products. How about that?
Great prize. Couldn't ask for a better one.
Yeah, great product. We endorse them, right?
Absolutely.
Now, go to the FAE booth afterwards. Make sure your name is in there. We also have a presentation that starts tomorrow where Don and I give tours of our own home farms and habitat projects, and they're going to see footage of our farm that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah, and even the folks that have been to my place on the master class I used to hold, this video footage we're going to show is on a different part of the property that I didn't own at that time.
Yeah, so make sure you check your show schedules. You will not want to miss those segments. There's big news, guys. We've been teasing this up for months that there's big announcements coming, and one of those announcements has to do with a new sponsor, and we're actually going to bring him up on stage in just a little bit at the end of the show to talk a little bit about it. But this sponsor said at Shipshewana, I want to give away some big prizes, high dollar items to Chasing Giants to use to raise money for Lester's feet. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Not only is he just signing up to a new partnership, but he wants to give you guys some high-end prizes tonight. Is everybody cool with that? You guys good with that? Well, this tells you a little bit about the guy, and you'll get to meet him later. He said, I'll give the prizes away if you figure out how to raise money for Lester's Feet. So Lester's Feet's our nonprofit foundation that we have a booth. So what we decided to do, there's going to be volunteers that spread out. We're going to do the old-fashioned church love offering. And this is for Lester's Feet. So even if you want to buy a raffle ticket or you don't want to buy a raffle ticket, $1, $2, $5, whatever you want to put in these buckets as they go around through the podcast, all of that money goes to help a family with a sick or injured child that has a loss of work. So the guys are going to be, if you see this white bucket, look behind you, guys, spread out. You'll see these buckets. They'll be spread around in different areas as we do the podcast. If you want to chip in a little bit, feel free. If you don't, no problem. But now we get to hand out really good prizes from our new sponsor at the end of the show. We got that taken care of.
Out of the way.
So let's talk a little bit, Don. Inform everyone about our new product that's sitting in the aisle. No one saw this product, knew about it until today when they walked in the trade show. Let's introduce that a little bit and the reason behind it.
Yeah, it's a scrape magnet. It's a scent that you use on your rope scrapes, and it's a synthetic scent. We sell it in gallon jugs and 16-ounce bottles. But being synthetic, it lasts forever. You could buy a jug, and if it takes you 20 years to use it, it's still good. A video playing in the booth of bucks hitting these rope scrapes with this scent on it. So hope you'll stop by and check that out.
Yeah, this has been about a 2-year project that we worked on, and we're trying to continue to grow the Chasing Giants brand. By no means, I want this to be completely 100% clear. If you're going to use a gland-based or natural-based lure, you need to go talk to Smokey in the Smokey booth. There is nobody that's better. There's nobody that has a better product than Smokey. We're 100% behind him. But in the synthetic world, there's really a gap in the market as far as what we feel is the right product that's going to bring those deer in. And we tweaked this thing and ran it in 9 states on 54 farms this year. And if you go to watch that video in our booth, you're going to see just ginormous mature bucks on it. And that's the key. If you can pull a mature buck on it, you know you got something.
Yeah, there's even a video clip of Doubting Thomas hitting that rope scrape with the scrape magnet on it. So be sure and check it out.
Yeah, we were going to bring that in here, but we really didn't want to slow your guys' questions down. So this is your all's cue after the buckets have been passed to go ahead and start staging up for questions. Let's get those people in queue so we don't have to wait for them here in a little bit and waste time. Don't wait. I'm going to pass out free prizes for everybody who asks a question. And I might run out, so you can't be the last one at the end of the show. But yeah, scrape magnet's going to be available. This is the cheapest it's ever going to be. We're eating the tax and the shipping on it. You can carry it out of the booth from the Chasing Giants booth that's out there. Just remember, it's synthetic, so it doesn't have to be refrigerated. You don't have to, if you don't use it, it'll carry over for the next year. You can season your rope scrapes in a bucket like we have a display up there. And it's not even for ropes. There's video footage of where we just wire tied pine tree branches on a fence post and sprayed it with it, and they hit it. So it can be used for any type of scrape.
Yeah, but it's for a scrape. It's not just to, put on your boots or whatever and walk to your stand. So any kind of scrape it'll work with.
The Wenzel brothers were talking about they were going to use it as cologne. I don't know if that's true or not, but they were a little excited, but for different purposes of the product. Maybe we'll have to talk to them on Saturday when they're up here on stage.
Maybe we can get them to do a demonstration.
Maybe. We never know what kind of wild animal will run in here to the Mech Center in front of this crowd. You never know what we'll attract in here. So remember, guys, let's get the first question queued up. Don, you've been coming to Shipshewana now for I don't know how many years. Just talk about how special this place is and how many people walk up to our booth. And I don't even understand how you remember everybody's names. There's people you haven't been on their farms for in 10 years or seen them at a show 6 years ago, and it's like you saw them yesterday.
Well, to be honest, you're giving me a little bit too much credit because I know so many people anymore that I do forget a lot of names, but I don't forget faces.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's always good to see friendly faces, and usually when they turn around and leave is when I remember their name.
Yeah. We haven't done our own Chasing Giants booth until this year, and you have on display the replicas. We'll just tell everybody seems to ask. It is the replicas of all 4 of your 200-inch deer. So that's kind of cool having you sitting in that little high chair right there with your buck standing over you. That's kind of a cool sight. I walked down the aisle today and looked over, and it looks pretty cool.
Well, it's the first time they've ever been displayed. And when it comes to this show, the older I get, the less I like doing these shows, and especially 3-day shows. And I just about refuse to go and do them anymore. I turn down multiple speaking requests every year at basically multiple day shows, but this is one that I come to every time I'm asked, which is basically every year. Just a different crowd, different atmosphere, and just first class all the way.
Yeah, the promoting team of this show they're good friends of ours. We've gotten to know them really close, but they had a hire of a new marketing lady this year that's sitting in the front row snapping pictures, and I'm going to give her all the credit this year because it seems like everything was much more organized than when Derek was just doing it. So,
well, I know Derek and his organization skills from Whitetail Life magazine. I'm the editor; he's the co-editor, and he's always pushing the deadlines on every issue. So, totally understand about Derek. Great guy, though. I mean, look what he's done here.
Yeah, and he's built a team, and she's just one of the people that's been a blessing to him. So, boy, this happens every year at this show. Nobody comes up and asks a question, and then we have to wrap up with only a minute left, and nobody's here. See, that got people up. See, I gave him the guilt trip.
Yeah.
All right, so, you can adjust it, but you're going to come up to the mic, and you do have to state your name, Social Security number, and home address when you start your question, but no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
My name is Stephen Hochstetler. I'm from Irvington, Kentucky. I listen to the podcast every week and like what you guys do, but I have a 40-acre farm, and it's bordered on one side by ag fields, and I want to put in a new food plot this year, probably 3 to 4 acres, and I was thinking about doing like a rotation in deadly dozen and clover, like half and half, and then switch it around every 3 years. Just wondering what you think of that idea. And my second question is what is your guys' take on the AI technology?
Well, AI, let's start with that one. I think it needs to be outlawed. On to number 2. I think living in Kentucky, you're a little farther south, and I think green food sources down that way are more attractive than the grains for most of the season anyway. So the farther south I get with consulting visits, it changes the food plot recommendations that I have, and the farther south I go, the more greens. And I think your plan sounds perfect. You're going back and forth from the deadly dozen, or you could use harvest salad and the clover. So I think you're right on the money there.
Can I nerd out and ask you a qualifying question?
Yes.
Was tobacco ever raised in those fields you're planning on doing?
No, I'm clearing it.
Okay. If you ever into Kentucky and it's an old tobacco field, use Dixie Dozen instead of Deadly Dozen because it's going to pull all that nitrogen that was used for so many years out of the hard pan below, and it'll keep that nitrate level really high in brass because the deer might not eat it for a few years.
How long do you guys plant Deadly Dozen, like year after year? Is 3 years about the max?
I think that's pushing it. I would rotate out every year. Those bulb plants, you know, the turnips and radish, don't do so well on follow-up years. So I would rotate out every year.
All right, here's your free prize.
Thank
See
you.
how good you can catch. Oh, fumble on the 2-yard line. All right, next question.
Hello, Matt Dossman from Akron, Indiana, about an hour from here. I have a property in between two swamps. It's like a travel corridor. I got CRP. I got about 30 acres of beans, corn. Every year they switch it out. I'm inquiring about the Gen 2 beans. If I put 2 to 3 acres in between that, I have about 60 acres of property that I hunt. It's half and half. If I put that in there, is that going to be worth doing or not?
Well, if you can get, if your deer pressure is low enough that you can establish a soybean plot, it's absolutely going to be worth it. But that's a question that I really can't answer because I don't know what your deer population is. But I would absolutely give it a try. And the good thing about it is if they wipe out those soybeans with browse pressure, you can always come back in the fall with a fall planted product, like Deadly Dozen. So if you can get a stand of soybeans, though, there's nothing better, especially, up as far north as we are here.
Right, and I got fields all around me. It's just 2 country blocks, but each side is a big swamp, and they travel back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably got 14 different bucks on camera last year in 2 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to keep them or get them to come in and maybe entice them enough to get a good shot.
Soybeans are your ticket, especially late season. You'll draw in bucks from the neighbors as well as your own property. So I'd give it a shot and see what happens.
Well, I'm going to try it.
All right.
Listen to you guys forever.
Well,
Best of luck.
Matthews
Thank
would
you.
be proud if we freshened up a new Matthews hat for your headwear there. So come on over here a little bit so I can chuck it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you caught yours. The pressure's on now for everybody else. Wait till I get these tumblers. I'll start throwing overhanded.
Hello, Damon Marling from Paris Crossing, Indiana. My first question, I've got a few of them, but in your early pictures that you've killed deer, Don, it seemed like you was using a recurve or something, but then you switched to a compound. I'm curious why you didn't stick with the recurve since you like to stay within the 20-yard range. Seems to me like a recurve would actually be better because you can be more instinctive. And I've watched instinctive shooters, and I feel like they're better, and I was curious about that. So,
Well, I can just shoot a compound much more accurate than I can a recurve, even at 20 yards or less. So that's the main reason I switched. I will say that I do have a goal of shooting a giant one day with a recurve. And the clock's ticking. I'm running out of years. So the next time I find a giant, which however long that may be, I intend to try to chase that deer with a recurve. Who knows? If I'm not shooting it good enough, though, I'm not going to go out to the woods and just fling arrows at deer. I want to make sure that I can make a quick, clean, humane kill. That's more important to me than some crazy goal like using a recurve. So I got total respect for anyone using traditional gear, but obviously those guys are really limiting the shot distance that they're taking as well. So
it looked like you started out with it, and I thought I just was wondering why you didn't stay.
That
with
was still in the black and white days. They didn't have compound bows when he started hunting.
you know what? They were pretty new when I started. 48 years I've been deer hunting. So
I want to go a couple more questions if you don't mind. I got a nice persimmon tree in my yard, and it bears really good persimmons, and they hang on the tree up until late winter, and they drop all along that time. So it had some sprouts around it, and I took those trees and dug them up and planted them where I wanted them. Turned out they was male persimmon trees. And now I've got 5 years in them or whatever, and I found out they're male trees. I didn't even know that could be. So last year, I had a guy come in and graft some female onto them, and they're looking great. I was just wondering if you've ever done that, and I feel like I'm really ahead by him doing that. I didn't know if you ever seen that or done that before.
I've never personally done it, but I was guessing you was going to ask me how to, propagate that specific tree, and I was going to tell you to graft them and go right to those male trees that you've already got growing and graft, a bud right onto those trees, and you've already got the root system established, and those buds will just take off and grow a tree in a hurry.
It seems like it's working. I'm really excited about it.
All right, one more. We got a long line behind you.
Bill Winky's having a lot of trouble. I've been watching him, and I just wondered if you could help him out.
I could if he would ask. I'll be glad to. I could help a lot of other people in the hunting industry too if they'd ask.
I love Bill Winky, and I was just
Great guy.
Yeah.
Here you
Great
go.
guy.
I'm not going to throw this one. I'll put it on the stage there. All right, next question.
Hello, my name is Christopher Palmer from Michigan City, Indiana. Just two quick questions. One is a pretty easy one. Can you go back into depth and talk about woodsmanship and how it's okay to kind of rely on the gadgets and gizmos that the industry puts out, but especially scent control and playing the wind, how important it is to play the wind? And then my second question is, here in the state of Indiana, we're going to have our first case of drone poaching. What is your thoughts on drone recovery or drone anything for deer?
Can you get that soapbox down there and pass it up here for the next 15 minutes?
Wow. Where do we start?
Everybody in the crowd's going like this.
Let's start with the first one this time. Woodsmanship and scent control and all that. Playing it all boils down to playing the wind. There's a guy sitting about 3 rows behind you there that taught me years ago, Alan Foster. Al, stand up and give him a wave. He won't stand up.
Everybody clap for Al Foster. Make sure you come back tomorrow night. He's going to be part of the presentation for the Downing Thomas video.
So back in the day when I was in my late teens, 18, 19 years old, I started a new job. Al Foster worked at the same place, and he was older than me. He was doing what I longed to do. He was killing big bucks consistently. And that first year on the job, every break I got, I would run and talk to Al. I wouldn't sit in the break room. I'd run and talk to Al about deer hunting if he was available. And we would have conversations, and he would draw out diagrams of his tree stand locations, and he kept talking about playing the wind and playing the wind. And that season, I met him in the spring, and I talked to him throughout the summer. That next season, the number of bucks I seen from a tree stand tripled, literally tripled from the season before. And I still didn't know much about playing the wind, but I did know how important it was. And it's something that I've been preaching ever since. It's, everybody wants to get hung up on scent control products. And you know what I use? Absolutely nothing. If you came to my house and seen my hunting clothes, they're in a pile on the floor in my garage next to where I park my truck. They're not even stored in plastic totes anymore. And back in the day, I did everything you could possibly do for scent control. I mean, I went so far as to take the chlorophyll tablets. I carried a bottle around to pee in, and if you name it, I did it for scent control. And you know what? I was still getting winded. When a deer got downwind of me, I still got winded no matter what I did. And one day I decided, actually the first thing that I did was I looked at that pee bottle one day, and I thought, this thing has got to stink. Come on, I've been peeing in it for who knows how long. And so I threw that thing away. And the first time that I had to pee in my tree stand, I peed in right out of the stand. And
let it fly.
I whipped it out and let it fly. And I'm not kidding. This is a true story. Within about 15 minutes, a 2-year-old 8-point buck came out and started eating the grass I just peed on. Well, I've been peeing out of the tree ever since, believe me. And I slowly just gave it all up. And I mean, I was using the scent control clothing and everything. But if you don't have the wind, you also got to remember, think of it from the buck standpoint. That buck is not going to give up his nose, a mature buck. Under most conditions, now if he's out chasing a hot doe or whatever, he's going to do whatever. But a mature buck is not going to just give up the wind typically. It's going to be to his advantage. And the best way to compare it is us and our eyesight. We're not going to close our eyes and try to walk out of this room later. He uses his nose to the degree that we use our eyes. And he needs a wind that's favorable to him to walk past our stand. So there's a whole lot more to it than, I'm sitting in my tree, there's a deer trail, and the wind's blowing that way. There's a lot more to it than that. If that deer's coming down that deer trail and I'm sitting here, I want my wind to be blowing at an angle back this way, because he's walking down that trail with that wind quartering into his nose. And if you've got that set up, it's good for the buck. It's almost wrong for you. So if it's blowing this way, it's okay. But if it switches just a little bit, the buck's going to catch you. And that's what's meant by, almost wrong for you, because it's almost right for the buck, but it's not quite. It's not quite straight in his nose. And that woodsmanship, learning to play the wind and those things, I think the modern hunter today, especially the younger guys, that doesn't even register with them. We learned that because we didn't have those gimmicks or those products. We didn't have the sprays and we didn't have the ozonics, and we didn't have the enclosed blinds and all that stuff. So, I consider myself extremely blessed that I grew up in a time where those things did not exist. I learned to kill mature bucks before I had those things. And then as those things came on, it just made me more efficient than I already was. And, a guy like Al, he never, he retired from deer hunting before he had those things. But I guarantee he'd have been in the same situation as me. If he would have started implementing them things, it would have just made him more and more and more deadly each time he added a product. I think today we've got this generation of hunters that they've got the products, but they don't have that woodsmanship to go with it. And that's all. I hope that answers your question. It's kind of a long spiel there. And as far as drones, I think, a drone in the right hands is a great tool for retrieving deer that have been shot and lost, or for taking herd surveys and things like that. The issue I have with them is that in the wrong hands, they can decimate a mature buck herd. I think we've gone way too far on technology in hunting, and that there's more and more people after the big bucks, the mature bucks. And they've got more and more advantages. With each passing year, there's more people and more advantages. A mature buck is getting a whole lot harder to find than just a few years ago. And technology just makes that worse, and it's going to continue to get worse while we still have more people trying to tag mature bucks. So, I understand that there's benefits. I understand there's great uses for them, but there's also a lot of negatives that can come with it. And the older I get, the more anti-technology I become.
All right.
Thank you.
Here's your free
thank you.
hat.
Hi there. My name's Dwylan. I'm from Missouri and love the podcast. My question is, what influence does a deer's diet have on the taste of the venison? For example, my buddy used to live close to me there, and our deer eat quite a bit of acorns and stuff like that. And then he moved to Kansas, where it's mostly crops, and he thinks the meat tastes better out there, and I was just curious if you know anything about that.
Well, I don't know anything about it, but I'm not surprised. But I've got zero experience. Acorns have a lot of tannins in them. Depending on the species of the oak, tannins are bitter. So I'm guessing it probably would affect the meat to some degree, but I've got zero experience. Sorry, I can't give you a more solid answer.
That's fine. That's fine. And real quick, I was wondering what your opinion is on Dave Ramsey.
I know who he is. I've never really followed any of his principles. I just leave. I don't really have an opinion, good or bad.
Interesting.
Terry might, but I don't.
I think there's a lot to learn from him without, if you just take it from a 30,000 foot view and say, don't run up your credit cards and save money and pay cash. I think all of us would agree that's probably better. So in principle, but I don't follow him enough to know everything he stands for or what he does. So
All right, thank you.
I can tell you that no matter where the deer is, Brian Teets of B&M Custom Sausage in Illinois makes the best deer bologna and sausage and bacon I've ever had. So that's all I can answer as far as how's the deer taste. Steve Shields is sitting here in the front row. He can testify to that. So
Thank you. Drew Peterson. My farm's up in Albion, about a 2-hour drive north of here. And I really wanted to know what your experience has been with winter food. We had, 10, 12 inches of snow on the ground for a lot of weeks in December. The corn had been cut. Beans were getting kind of wiped out. You got grain sorghum, tubers, beets and radish and so on in the ground that they could dig up. What do you think is good winter food when there's snow on the ground?
Well, without a doubt, grain. The colder it gets, the worse the weather gets, the more those deer are attracted to grains. And, it's the energy, the fat levels, the carbohydrates that are available in those grains that keep the deer warm as they digest that. So corn, soybeans, and grain sorghum, hands down, the top three that I see for winter. And this year was kind of eye-opening for me because we had probably the worst winter in at least 5 years at my place. I know I moved more snow this year than I have in a long, long time, several years in a row. And, the deer, after a while, they started actually coming up into my yard, and there was places where the wind had swept the snow away where there was bare grass showing, and those deer were coming up eating that grass. They really long for some green, too. So if you can't just rely on the grains. They also want some green, and if they go for a while without it, they'll start eating, pine needles or whatever they can find as green. So I always preach diversity of food sources to my consulting clients, but when it gets really cold, the weather gets brutal, the grains are king.
Thank you.
Yep.
before we move on to the next question here, Don, we had a kind of a fun conversation the other day about give you a coffee mug. A deer is only going to consume so many pounds or volume of food. And what we've really focused on, not only with farming for nutrients over the last couple of years, but also the nutrient content in the food we're giving them. When they can eat the same, say, cereal bowl size of food and the calories, fat, and protein is so much better, how does that impact everything?
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example is the NutriCrave corn. That NutriCrave corn with the 3 times the fat level and 1.5 times the protein level of typical ag corn, it's got also more than double the calories. So that if a deer goes out and let's say eats 1 pound of corn, if that 1 pound of corn is NutriCrave, he's got more than double the calories if he'd eaten typical ag corn. It's also more attractive, more palatable. So it's the corn that they want. Gen 2 soybeans with their high oil content, it's anybody that's planted it in a region that is cold and sees a lot of snow has seen how it draws in deer like a magnet. So those quality food sources, getting your deer through the winter in the best condition possible just sets them up for the next antler growing season.
All right. Next question. Oh, he's pulling out oh, my goodness. He looks like he's getting ready to give a speech at a wedding.
I think he wrote you a love letter, Terry.
It's not asking me about my diet, is it? I'm getting a little tired of answering that question.
No.
Okay, good.
Dwayne Miller from New Paris. So concerning buck management on your property, I understand the premise of shooting the worst 50 or 60% of a certain age class, as that would have the bigger bucks with better genetics breeding your does on your property. But short of shooting every doe with a buck fawn or twin buck fawns, how do you keep your genetics on your property when nature's way of preventing inbreeding is to kick the buck fawns off the property? Are you not benefiting the neighbors more than yourself, or do those bucks eventually trickle back?
Well, I don't think you're benefiting the neighbors more than yourself, because most neighbors are not going to follow the same management approach. They're just going to shoot whatever they feel like without any, thought out plan. I'm not too worried about it. What I'm worried about is when them bucks get 3 years old, because those bucks are moving in and out continually. But once they get 3 years old, most bucks have settled into a home range. Yearlings for certain are still shifting. 2-year-olds to a lesser degree are shifting a little bit. But by the time they get 3 years old, they've settled into a home range for the most part. And at that point, it doesn't matter if they were born on my farm or they were born 100 miles away. I'm taking that group of 3-year-olds and I'm whittling them down to the best third. You said something about 50% or so. I'm killing more than 50%. I want to kill about 75% because that really impacts how many of those bucks are going to leave. If they don't have as much competition, the odds of them staying are much greater. And it's all about playing the odds with buck management. You keep the best bucks in each age class alive, and the odds are much better that those bucks are going to become real giants than the lower end bucks in each age class. So it's just a matter of taking what's given you, whether they were born on your place or somewhere else, removing the bottom 2/3 or 75%, and seeing what you get with the top ends in each age class.
Thank you.
I think people start paying a little bit too much attention to this. If I kill a doe with twin buck fawns to keep them, the inbreeding side of it. Because I think one of the stats that I heard, I believe Dr. Strickland talk about, is the very high percentage of, say, twins that a doe is carrying actually have different fathers. That's how much that doe was bred during the rut. So the likelihood of a full genetic male and female being born with the exact same gene pool is 0.000 something percent. What you would really be worried about and why maternal aggression, I think God created creation that way, is when a mother had that buck fawn can't breed the mother. The likelihood that he has a true genetic twin that's a male that could potentially breed her is next to nothing. So I think people pay a little bit too much attention about that little thing that could cause maybe something to happen, instead of let's keep as many bucks as we can on the property that's benefited from the nutrition, and then take out the ones. We want to keep all of those 6'2" 7th graders. Like Don's grandson, stand up, boy. Look at this kid. If I'm like looking at just a pack of middle, what grade are you in now?
Freshman.
He's a freshman, and he's already taller than both of us. That's the buck that I want running around that's eventually going to have the girlfriend on the property, right? I don't want somebody that looks like Danny DeVito. Half this room probably doesn't know who Danny DeVito was, but that's whose name popped in my head. So does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. I'll trade out your sock hat. Lamar.
Hey, how's it going?
Lamar's running the bake contest and tasting contest that we get to go do after this show. Did you know that?
It's after this show?
We do it every day. You get
Awesome.
cherry pie taste every single day of the show, from what I understand.
I'm going to stop eating lunch then.
Unfortunately, Don, I think you're going to not like cherry pie after this. You're going to eat so much here, you're going to be sick of it.
Oh, no, that's not going to happen.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Put it to the challenge. We'll see.
That's right, bring them in. All right, so if you have a grassy wash, just a shallow grass wash in a field, what is the best food source that you could put in that would possibly withstand, more water than a normal flat field or whatever?
Good question. We haven't gotten that one before.
No. But I do have some experience with that. I was hunting a permission farm where they came in and redid the waterways, where the water comes out of the fields. And when they did, I gave them some clover seed to mix with their grass seed. And I asked, the farmer if it'd be okay to mix some clover with it, because I seen what was going on. He said, yeah, so I supplied him with some clover seed. So within that grass, there was clover coming up, and the deer absolutely were feeding in that waterway.
So is that going to work well with, I guess you'd call it a north-facing bank? So it would have less sunshine, but it would still be, more of a bank on it. It's not going to have as much water on there. It's still going to be all right.
Well, I think it just depends on the specific site, but you do bring up an interesting point that I think deserves to be talked about is, you know, as land managers, we get all wrapped up in these south-facing slopes. I mean, you go on the internet today, and you know every Tom, Dick, and Harry is talking about creating bedding cover on a south-facing slope. Well, they almost make you think that the deer never bed on a north-facing slope, and that's not the case whatsoever. In fact, when the temperatures are above normal, where do they want to be? They want to be on the other side. So just think about the weather. When a cold front comes through, how many days does that cold front come through? You know, 2 or 3 days. And I was on a consulting visit 2 or 3 years ago on this property, and the client just kept talking about south-facing slopes because he had some pretty rough terrain. And I was trying to explain this to him, and I was having a hard time getting the message across. Well, as luck would have it, we come around this corner on an ATV trail, and we busted a bunch of deer that were bedded, and they were bedded on the north-facing slope. And I said, today the temperature is above normal. Where were those deer bedded? The north-facing slope. Don't get all wrapped up in the south-facing slope nonsense that everybody puts out there. Yeah, it's important to have some good thermal cover on a south-facing slope for when it's really cold, but those deer are going to spend just as much time wanting to stay cool, and so you need that north-facing slope bedding cover as well.
So real quick, what would be the best way to do that as far as to get rid of the grass that's already there, or just mow it down and like?
If you want to establish the clover in that situation, you're probably going to have to eliminate the grass that's there. One of the grasses that's used most commonly in waterways is fescue, which is not a native grass, and it's very dense, has a very dense root system, and you're going to have to kill that before you can get any clover established in it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Lamar is a coffee connoisseur, so I'm going to add to his coffee collection.
Hi, I'm Kevin Holm from Winston, Connecticut. I was just wondering, me and my wife have 160 acres we bought about 5 years ago, and we just had a hard timber reset. 80% of the canopy's gone, and now I'm just wondering, where should I start with doing my habitat work? Should I start with the bedding pockets and like thickets of cover, or should I establish the food plots first?
I would go in and I would do a very aggressive TSI cut. So they've probably taken, you say 80% of the trees.
Yep.
The 20% that are left, are they all good trees, or?
For the most part, I mean, the previous owners had it logged extremely hard about 30 years ago. They basically told us flat out that they had a logger come in, they said, make as much money as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of junk, and they left us, I mean, the best of the best. We got the cream of the crop right now, and all the junk is gone.
Do you have any junk species left, or are they all?
There's quite a few beech trees, which for us are basically useless.
Yeah, I would get rid of all those and any other junk species or any trees with poor branch structure that are never going to have value for timber or wildlife. Get rid of them all right now and start over. But once you've done that, I would determine where your stand sites are going to be around that. Pick out your trees, get your stand in place, and then go into that disaster area that you've created with your TSI and your logging, and create paths for those deer to come out of that and come out right past your stand. You can dictate how those deer enter and exit that thick area by creating paths of least resistance for them. And you got a great opportunity. You know, I think one of the biggest mistakes that landowners make, deer hunting landowners, is that they hunt their property as if it was a permission property. They just go in and like, well, there's a deer trail, I'm going to put my stand here. As a landowner, you can dictate the movement patterns on your property, and you can put those deer right where you want them, right past a tree where you've got good access, where you can play the wind, where things are to your advantage. You move that deer activity to that tree, and if you do that, you should be able to kill any buck on the property.
Sure, thank you.
All right. I bet this guy could catch anything I threw at him. I bet you were like 6'2" 7th grader too, weren't you? Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
He was in the military too and served our country, so let's give this guy a hand. Just met him and his wife earlier today. Drove all the way from Connecticut to be here. So.
Thank you for your service,
thank
sir.
you.
Hi, Don. Hi, Terry. My name's Wayne Geis. I'm from Northwest Pennsylvania. I had Wes out to my property a couple years ago. And part of my management plan is I stick with what the guy that leases the rest of my property is as I rotate the crops. And this year I had corn in, but it's easier for me just to have the ag corn put in. So how do you prep your fields when you're going back to beans with all the corn stubble and everything? And then do I got to worry about volunteer corn because I can't spray it like he does his. It's Roundup Ready corn. So if I plant real world beans, how do I maintain that, or won't it be a problem?
Yeah. So I just no-till my beans right into my corn stalks. If you got the ability to no-till.
I no-till the beans in, but I didn't know if it would just get through that stubble, or
Yeah.
do I brush hog it first, or do I just go right over top of it?
Well, I brush hog my corn. I do it, in stages so that throughout
I
the
left all
season.
mine standing, so I didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah, so start by mowing it.
Okay.
Let things green up in the spring, spray it. That's a good way to get rid of a lot of that volunteer corn. It's going to come on before you ever plant your beans. Use a good residual herbicide when you spray it as well. That'll take care of a lot of your weed issues. But clethodim is a grass herbicide, and it won't harm any broadleaf. And corn is a grass; it's in the grass family. So that's an option that you've always got. When you got a grass issue or
Now,
corn
that's before
issue.
I plant.
No, you can do that afterwards.
Right on top of the
It's a
beans.
post-
Yeah, it won't.
Post-emerge.
It won't. It's a selective herbicide, so it won't kill any broadleaf. It'll only kill grasses.
Okay.
It's a great question because I've heard several people say, "Oh, well, I have volunteer corn coming up in my plot. Oh, it'll give me extra food when I'm there." That's not how volunteer corn works.
No.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the corn seed that you buy is basically grown by crossing two different varieties of corn, and then when you plant that variety, you're not going to get the same as what was developed by crossing those two. It creates a hybrid corn that you just can't plant that hybrid and get the same thing. It's kind of like apple trees. You can't just take the seed from an apple and plant it and get the same tree that apple came from.
Yeah. Now, real quick, switchgrass. So this will be the third year for it coming up this spring. Do I have to spray that every single year, even though that's thick and really established now?
No.
Should it be good now?
Yeah, it should be good. You should burn it,
Yeah,
every two-
this is after this year's growth. I'll burn it
Mhm.
because this is the third year coming up, and then I'll burn it next spring, I guess.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I needed to spray it with quinclorac and 2,4-D or anything like that. And
No, I spray mine so the year I burn it, and that year when it starts to green up, if I've got some weeds coming in, I don't mind a few weeds, but if the weeds are starting to get out of control, I'll spray it with 2,4-D to take care of all the broadleaves.
yeah.
But it's not something you need to do every
last
year.
year I was running through it and flushing out turkeys and everything, and I thought I was messing up their nests and everything like that. And I thought I just it's so thick right now I can't see why I'd want to even spray it.
You don't
think
need
anything's
those
gonna take
turkeys
care of
anyway.
it. Well,
Al Foster's cringing over there.
Yep.
I think this is the first time in history that we've had someone ask a question carrying a baby. You might need help turning that microphone down a little bit. Oh, you got a round of applause. Look at that. Anybody who
Hello.
comes up here carrying a baby, that deserves a round of applause.
My name is Susan. I'm from Michigan, and this is my son, Warren.
Hey, Warren.
My question is, what is your favorite way to eat venison?
Oh, that's easy. Deer bacon from B&M Custom Venison. They make a deer bacon. They put jalapeno peppers in it, and great stuff. In fact, I have it for breakfast. If I'm home, I'll have it for breakfast at least 5 out of 7 mornings every week.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know what he does different, but we've gotten deer sausage from everywhere. But this guy has a very small business. He only takes so many, and his trail bologna that he makes the Slim Jim beef sticks and this bacon. I made the mistake one year of killing a really big deer and just saying do the whole thing, and that was a very expensive processing bill when I did a whole animal in summer sausage, but it was good. What kind of present you want? I don't know how much.
My husband wants a hat.
What kind of bow does What kind of bow does he shoot? How about a Matthews? We'll make him a Matthews customer. I don't want to throw it. I might hit the baby. There you go. Thank you very much. Well, Don, as we got a break in questions here, I want to ask a special friend of ours named Cameron Dare to come up and get his headset on and do a quick sound check. We're going to talk a little bit about this because this has been a topic that I think the outdoor industry, if I've been critical of the outdoor industry for anything, it's about the lack of loyalty and the lack of relationships that happen with partners. And for us to make a move, we've dissolved relationships in the past before. You got do a sound check real quick.
Mic check, 1 2
Yeah,
1
you're
2.
good. And we've dissolved relationships with people just as we grew apart, or the people that we knew, kind of moved on. But this is the first time that we've actually dropped a sponsor and picked up one. And this was a very strategic thing that we wanted to do. We tested this product, we bought it. But this guy to our left has been a good friend for a lot of years. For those of you who have gone back and watched the Whitetail Cribs episodes from all of the way, that's this guy's creative genius behind all of that. And now he is the marketing manager at Hawk Optics. And I just want all of us just to talk a little bit, because this was hard for us to leave our former partner because we had good friends there, but their strategic direction was not the hunting industry. And Cameron took this new job, and this company wants to work with you as deer hunters. And the product is really good and at a fantastic price point. And that kind of aligns with what you and I want to do with who we work with. But it wasn't an easy decision to change to something.
No, we've never done this before, but it was just very obvious the other company did not want to work with us. They was going a different direction outside of the hunting industry. And we always look for a company that's got good. First of all, it's got to be a good product, one that we would use, and we always buy it first. We don't just take a free product from somebody and say, okay, we'll be a sponsor. Yeah,
I tried.
We tried to do that several times over the years. Yeah,
well, we buy the product first, and if we like the product, we're also at the same time that we're reviewing the product, we're also taking a close look at the people behind the brand, and we want to be very careful about the people that we partner with, because they're a reflection of us. We are a reflection of them. We got to make sure it's a good fit. And in this case, it was a great fit. And we're just happy to have Cameron and Hawk Optics on board.
So let's just lay it out there. We've known each other a lot of years, and transparency is a big thing. You're sitting here looking at a room of deer hunters, knowing now as the marketing manager of this optics company, the product that you can provide to them, sometimes 30 and 40% cheaper with the same quality. What's Chasing Giants do to connect that for you? I mean, because you've wanted this for a long time, and I've given you some pushback.
Sure. I mean, even before my previous company, we always felt a big impact from you guys just speaking about the product. Because you guys have such a loyal following. Look at the people gathered here just to listen to you guys sit on stage and talk to each other. It's a pretty special thing. Yeah. And then just building a relationship with you guys throughout the Whitetail Cribs episodes, and then doing some other stuff professionally. When I had the opportunity, and I kind of felt like we were a better fit. The other companies, they're a juggernaut, and they make absolutely great products too, but I felt like our direction and what we provide to a deer hunter is kind of more directly aligned. And I was like, man, if we pulled this strategic partnership off, I think it'd be great for you guys, great for what you guys can provide your audience, and really good for us.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Cameron, obviously the film content and the production is second to none, but he laughs and gets really embarrassed when I say this. I actually had a press release that went out today that referenced this guy is one of the rising star media content creators in the industry. He's that talented on the social media side and the film production side. He's that good. And I think that together with everybody in this room, us, Cameron at Hawk Optics, and you guys, we can really impact the outdoor industry with some really price-sensitive quality products. So tell us what you got. I teed this up and said, hey, we were going to raise money for Lester's Feet. And hey, he could have thrown prizes out anywhere in the show hall, but he said he wanted to help raise money for kids. So that was the requirement for him to do this. But tell us what you're giving away here.
Yeah, so real quick, the lineup for Hawk is like good, better, best, Vantage, Endurance, Frontier. And when I'm talking to these guys here, it's like only the best. So we brought some Frontier HDX binoculars here. We have 2 pairs. These are 8x42. These are like $600 MSRP binoculars. So
Y'all like free stuff? Clap your hands if you like free stuff. He's giving, literally, he's passing out $1,200 worth of optics in this show. So can't thank you enough for you trusting us. The friendship over the years, number one, which means more than anything, is business fades. We'll always have the friendship, but that you taking care of our people like this. And we raised money for Lester's feet today. How cool is that? So we'll be going back to the Hawk booth. Make sure you check out, they got really cool range-finding binoculars, caliber-specific rifle scopes. So you can actually buy a reticle already tuned into the reticle that or the caliber that you're shooting. Fantastic technology. So I'm going to make an executive decision. Number one, we got to figure out who to pick. We got a room full, I don't know how many hundreds of people. The first person that I'm going to just say is going to win it is that veteran that drove all the way here from Connecticut. Where are you at? You stand up and come up here real quick. That's the no-brainer. Okay, we're gonna actually give it to you in the Chasing Giants booth, but I want you up here for just a second. You can hold it and say cheese, but we're actually gonna do a picture in the Chasing Giants booth. Okay. All right, so I want the room, everybody who killed a buck this year, to stand up. These lights are hard to see. Look at this.
Don't lie.
All right.
You're talking last year?
2025 season. All right, we got all the people who killed a buck. If it was your first buck ever, stay standing. Everyone else sit down.
Uh-oh. The crowd is fading.
Do we only have one that shot their first buck?
There's a couple. We got one up there in the booth way back up in the stands. We got one down here.
Okay. 1, 2. All right. All right. If you shot your buck with a bow, you can stay standing. Okay, that only got it down to 3.
I think we got.
If you were wearing Osseo camo, stay standing. Okay, stand back up. You guys got to go camo shopping before you leave. If you were the final 3, stand back up. Who was it? First buck with a bow. Anybody out of a tree saddle? The love swing? You gonna admit it? No. Ground blind? No. Crossbow? Ground blind?
Ground blind.
I think that gets it. You were on the ground. You're the other winner. Come up here. All right. Shooting a buck with a bow on the ground. All right, that's our 2 winners. Now we're going to run a little long with our show. So can you guys come to the Chasing Giants booth when we're done and get pictures with Cameron? I'd really appreciate that. And we're going to do some more giveaways during the Doubting Thomas video tomorrow. So come back. You can go sit down. Come back tomorrow. We're going to do the same type of giveaway, except I will have different questions for the room. Okay? Thanks, Cameron. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, guys. And thank you guys all for coming.
If you want to go check out Right Tail Crib videos, they're still out there. So, all right. So we have a special kind of thing. I think we got an auctioneer in here. Oh, you got one more question. Sorry. Let's do one more question, but you can go ahead and make your way around it. It's got to be quick, though. We're running over. See,
I'm Elmer Hertzer.
That whole time at the beginning, you didn't come up here. Now we're at the end. Go ahead.
Elmer Hertzer from Romulus, New York. We own a hunting property several miles from our home, and we have it posted. There was this guy dumping mashed potatoes and corn and stuff by the posted signs, so we popped up a camera and got pictures of this guy. It looked almost like one of the Wenzels, and carrying a bucket. Curious what your theory is on why someone would be dumping half bucket full of corn by posted signs along with their leftover dinner, and what should we do about it?
I used to like mixing my corn and mashed potatoes, man.
Did he have purple hair?
No, he had white hair.
Well,
mashed potatoes.
You know, I came up with a new saying today, talking to someone here. It's, if you listen every week, you are definitely not a purple-haired freak. What do you think?
I don't think that's the exact word you used when you said it in the booth, but it's pretty close.
It's close. I have no idea what the guy's doing.
I mean, I'm from New York, after all.
Well, it's probably some of them New York City slickers coming out to the country, and they don't know what they're doing. Well, I mean, look at who they vote for.
If you pour out mashed potatoes, do it in an orange hat. All right, one more. You got a question? If we can do it real quick, let's go.
Wayne Fry here from Ligonier, Indiana. So the Turning Point buck, do you think that's going to be your next buck on the hit list for next year, or do you think there's another buck on the list?
I think there's a good chance that's going to be the buck. He's still alive. He's looking good. He shed both antlers. The crazy thing about the deer, though, the first time I've ever seen this, he's 5.5 this year. He shed one antler in early December, and he carried his second antler for over 5 weeks before he shed the second one. And I don't think I've ever seen a buck, a mature buck especially, do that. But, he would have probably scored in the mid-170s this year, and there's, who knows what he might do next year as a 6-year-old. So I'd say there's a very good chance he's going to be the one.
If you come to the FAE presentation Dawn and I are doing tomorrow about our habitat, there's actually trail camera pictures of Turning Point that we're going to show that haven't been seen before. So you're going to get to actually see the possible target buck for next year. All right, you want a sock hat or a coffee mug? All right. Well, we're going to ask an auctioneer to come up. I need some help with Vanna White right here in the middle. Oh, yeah, you're Vanna White. Do you know who Vanna White is? Oh, you don't even know who Vanna White. That makes it even funnier. We need the picture, and can somebody set the mic stand up here? Just pick the mic stand up and.
Hey, while we're waiting, I want to suggest everybody go by Bobby Worthington's booth. Bobby has some items that he's raffling off, or silent auction, really. Proceeds go to a memorial that he's dedicated to his son Clay, who passed away a few years ago. So go see what Bobby's got in his booth.
All right. As you guys know, there's an art contest, but why don't you get up? It's just don't walk around too far. You're hooked up to the corded mic. Tell us a little bit about this photo. This photo was done.
It's a drawing.
Yeah, or drawing, excuse me, but it was from a photo that somebody actually did last year. So talk just a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah, a young Amish lady last year drew this from a picture of me and Trump, the buck I shot back in 2017. Just a fantastic picture. She actually won the contest here last year with this picture, and she's donated it. Proceeds are going to go to Lester's Feed, right?
Yeah, all the auction stuff that we're getting ready to do, everything goes to Lester's Feed. Everything's been donated. So again, we're going to start out with this. Is that what you're going to do first? This photo is going to be auctioned off right now. Proceeds go to Lester's Feet, and we'll have some other stuff here in just a second. Is he in frame, Steve, or do we need to sign it? All right. So introduce yourself first.
All right. I'm the microphone man. Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me okay? All right. I also deer hunt, by the way.
Do you?
Chase beagles.
Are you any good?
I don't know if I'm really any good.
Me neither.
I'm having a lot of fun trying. But anyways, again, ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate each and every one of you folks being here this evening and making this event a great event. And again, for you folks, I'm sure you guys probably told them what Lester's Feet was all about, for cause for children, help people that have needs within their families, and they step up and make payments for their, whether it's the real estate or the car or food or whatever the need is at that time. So we do appreciate them doing that. And can you guys actually hear me okay? I sound a little light for myself, but
give me a thumbs up in the back. Are you good?
You're okay? All right. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, a once-of-a-lifetime opportunity and a one-of-one. And what's your pleasure on this kind? You tell me I'd like about $5,000. Hey, what are you thinking on them right up here? Give me $5 grand. $2,000 to get me going here. $1,000 on them right up there. $1 grand. Give me $500. We don't care where we start. It's where we end up. What really counts? 500. Hey, everybody get $500. Yes, yellow. 5 here now. 750. Hit $500 now. 7.5 here now. Now $1,000 on them right up there. $1 grand there now. $1,000 bid there now. One. I forgot to mention, you're allowed to bid more than once.
Can I bid?
1,000. Go ahead. $1,000 on them here now. 7.5 bid here now. $1,000. How about 900? Hit 9. We'll cut her in half for
Just
you.
Yell it.
That's 750.
I was going to bid.
Hey, we'll get your money. I love it. And now 1,000 and now 1,250. Let's keep it going here. Now $1,500 on. We're going to get 1,500. Yeah, but get 15. Now 12.5 bid down here. Yes, 15. New fire. And now 12. Now 1,750. Hit 1,500 on. Now 17 and a half here, young man. Now 2,000 on. Now 2. Yeah, but it'll be $2 grand on right up here. Down 2. But it get 2,000 on. Hit 2,000. 20 at 25. Let's roll the dice. Hit 2,500 on. Now 5 here. Now how about 2,250? We'll take smaller chunks here. Hit 2,000 on. Now 22. two and a half, did you say bit, 2 and a half, now 5, and now it's your turn to go, and now 27.50, hit 27 and a half here, now 27.50, but down there, it's your turn to be exact there, buddy. He hit it last time, you hit it this time, hit 27.50, now $3,000, everybody get $3,000, thank you, sir, now 32.50, at $3,000 on them, now 32, 2 and a half, everybody get 32, $250 on them, now 32 and a half, at 32, $250 on them there, at, sir, give me 31. 31, laying all jokes aside, and now 32.
It's his.
Huh?
It's his.
31, 2, everybody get 32, 2, now 2, everybody get 200, on, now, everybody get 31, 2. Anybody else want back in the chase, sir? Everybody get 31, now 2, now, everybody get 3,200, on, now 2. Anybody else want to get on right there? Last call, ladies and gentlemen, help yourself. One of one and a rare opportunity knocking on the door, going for a good cause. Yeah, 31, 2 here, now, 200, on, now 2, now 2, now 2, big 200, on, now 2, now 2, now 2, now 2. Sold right there at 3,100, thank you. $3,100, you bet. We appreciate all the support.
All right, we're going to get a couple other, I think you got some other stuff you're going to get out.
We got
and so come to the Lester's Feet booth. We'll make the check out to Lester's Feet, and we'll give it to you there.
All
what else we got?
Thank you. All right. I got a little work for you boys.
Uh-oh.
Start digging stuff out of there.
All right, we got donation. We got books.
I talked to Terry this morning, and he said they're offering a couple items here this evening, and I asked him permission to go collect a few things, and he said, if you find it, I'm okay with it. So this is what we come up with. We got us a nice poster signed by Mr. Bobby Worthington. And, of course, Bobby and I go back a little ways. He's a beagler, and so am I, and we both enjoyed talking deer hunting and beagling. When we're not hunting deer, we're chasing beagles.
Okay. Get that. All right, so we got, you reading this off or am I?
All right, I'll just go through my list here. That way I won't miss nobody. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we have 6 books here. We have a book called The Enchantment of Bow Hunting by Mr. Mike Mitten on deer, elk, bear, moose, etc., signed and all. And our second book is going to be from Mr. Bobby Worthington, The Final Quest for Phantoms of the Forest. And it is signed as well, along with that poster we just showed you. And then we have a set of books from a couple brothers, Whitetails, etc., signed by Mr. Gene Wenzel. And The Old Man and the Tree,
This
signed
is a
by
national treasure here, boys. The Wenzel brother book signed. There's not many of these floating around.
And that, the one is their latest one that they came out with as well. Signed by Barry Wenzel. And another one on the list here is The Red October, The Hunt for Giants by Mr. Adam Hayes, the Red Moon Master. And last but not least, we have one by Mr. Brent Allen Henderson, Into the Wilds, signed as well. Then we also have a 1-year subscription to Whitetail Life. And we have $100 worth of gear from Osseo, which is going to be a Osseo Performance hoodie and a 3-layer windproof beanie. So, ladies and gentlemen, you talk about a nice little library, all in one package, and even the Amish can utilize this package. So, ladies and gentlemen, help yourselves and come to the front. All righty, what's your pleasure on this kind? I'd like about $2,500 on it, but give me $1,000, $500. Give me $200, let's go, guys. 2, let's see some hands. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 4, 5, $500 on them here. Now 4's up front here. Now 5, did you say it, young man? I got 4 up here. Now 5, $500 on them here. Now 4, 5 bid here. Now but I get 4, 500. Yeah, but I get 4, 500 on it. Now 5 bid down here. Now 4 out here. Now but I get 4, $500 on it. Now 5 bid down here. Now yes, 500. Now 600. Hit 5 here. Now 600 on it. Now 7 bid down here. Now but a bit 700 in the back row. It's 6, 700. Was that a bid, sir? 700. 6 bid, 7, 7. But a bit 7. Hey, the right side's been a little quiet over here. Eddie, you want to pitch in? Help him along. Get him, show him how it's done. It's 600 on him there. 5, 6 bid. Hey, buddy. Don, would you like to bid on this?
No, thank you.
Just check it.
I've already got most of them.
Yeah, 600, Teddy, now, but 600 on them, might be 5 here, 600 on them, there, now 5 here, 5.5. Anybody else want to get in the game there? 550 on them, there, 5.5 here, everybody get 550.
Over here.
Yes,
Over here.
And now 600 at 5.5, and now 6. Books by the legends at 5.5 here, now 600 on them, right up there, now settle down there, 5.5, 600 on up. So right there at 550. Thank you. And you just pay at the Lester's Feet booth. Thank you. Now.
All right, guys, we thank you guys for coming. I know we went a little long, but I hope you all are enjoying
I think he's got one more.
Oh, you got more money for you. And this is by Osseo. We have a Sherpa jacket and pants, waterproof, windproof, by Osseo. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at about retail, they're $488, so you do the math. All righty, well, and again, it's going for Lester's Feet. Right here, how many on, what are you thinking there? 1,000, $500, give me $200. Let's go right on here, 2, 3, 3, but I get 3, 4, at 3, 4, now 500 on, 4, 5. I got 4 bid here, but I get 500 on, 4, 5 bid here, 450. I got 4 bid, now a half here, now take advantage of the savings here, now 400 and a half here, now but I get 450. And you can go to their booth and pick your size. At 4 bid here, now half here, but I get 450 on, 4 and a half. Yes, have it, now 500 at 500 on, even money, easier for the clerk to figure. At 500 and a half, 500 on, 5 here, now but I get 500. Yeah, in the bleachers, thank you. Now 600 in the back row. Hit 5, 6, 550. Hit 5, yes, have, and now 600. Add here, now 600 on, now 6 bit down here, now 600. Now half here, now but a bit 650. Yeah, 6 and a half here. Do you want to get 6 and a half, young man? There, but a bit half here. You're from Buffalo, Missouri, ain't you? It's 5, 6 and a half. I'll go ahead and do her. Hit 5, 6 and a half here. 600 bid in the bleachers here, now half. Anybody else here? Now have. So right up here, $600. Thank you. Thank you, Osseo, and all the book signers. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. We appreciate the help for Lester's Feet. Every single cent goes to a family in need. So we're going to close out the show. We are on stage, I think, a total of 12 times over this week. We hope you're there. Hey, people leaving, if you can just stop for just a quick second where you're standing, please don't leave. There's something really important I need to say. So I apologize. I'm holding you up. But Don and I, if you follow us, there's one thing that will not ever be in question with how we run the show, and that's our faith in Jesus. And there's a lot of people that don't like it. There's a lot of people that come at us with a lot of complaints about it, and it's a non-negotiable for us. So I made a commitment a long time ago, whenever I have the chance to pray for you and pray for the people that we just raised money for, I do it. So I'm going to ask you to stand up. Men, take your hats off. Let's close this out with a word of prayer. Father God, I thank you for all these people that came and to listen to our nonsense, even though we love to talk about deer hunting and joke and even bash liberals every once in a while in good fun. We know that our purpose is to serve you and share Jesus with others every chance we get. We are truly hoping that everyone in this room has fun at the show, has safety in traveling, but I hope we're all encouraged that in all things we do, we make a difference in someone else's life and make that light shine for Jesus as much as we can. Father, thank you for your son. For without him, we'd have no hope. We'd have no reason. In his name we pray. Amen. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
God bless everyone. Have a great week.
Chasing Giants has been brought to you by Osseo Camo. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week for another episode of Chasing Giants.
Hey everybody, Ty here. I'm going to be reading from Matthew 5, starting at verse 27. This is a section within the Sermon on the Mount, and I'm going to unpack this from a place of real and rawness that I experienced years ago. And I think there's probably, if statistics hold true, if you are a male or even if you are a female to a lesser degree, I may have been prodded by the Holy Spirit to do this and share this because of you. And there's a lot of you. Matthew 5:27. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body go into hell. Years ago, I'm just going to cut right to the chase. I had a pornography issue. I am what I would say a recovering pornography addict. It's been years, but very, very early on in our marriage, my wife caught my issue. And this was one of the verses that a lot of the things that I was trying to read and overcome, something that I had tried for years, thinking that I was strong enough to overcome it, only to learn very quickly, oh, this is sin, and only one person actually was designed in order to be able to conquer sin. I was not. But I used to read the verse where if your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off. And it was actually that which was the catalyst for me to begin to cut things out of my life. We went to the Verizon store and I switched from a smartphone to just a dumb flip phone that could basically just text and call, because that was one of the sources. It was causing me to sin. I stopped using my computer if my wife was not in the room. So basically my office in the basement was no longer in use. So I got rid of my smartphone. I got rid of my ability to be on the computer at certain times. I began to cut out everything that I possibly could, thinking that that was going to solve my sin issue. And when I thought that I had it all figured out, because there was no way for me to look at pornography, that twisted nature that pornography had caused in my head began to manifest itself in the way in which I looked at other women, the way in which I interacted with other women. It began to still impact my life, because I had only gotten rid of the things that were the symptoms, if you will. I wasn't actually attacking and fervently offering up and truly releasing everything to God. I basically, yet again, when life had pushed me to the point of breaking, and I thought my whole family life, my marriage, everything that I stood for was destroyed because I could not control this sin, I still was trying to do it myself. I thought if I simply removed the devices, I'd be okay. When I really had never actually opened up and began to let God control my life. I had never opened up and truly shared and been vulnerable and open with my wife and told her everything. I had never told God everything. It was like I thought I could hide it from him. And it wasn't until I began to release it all to him and realize that I had to surrender it all, that the war finally began to turn. And I felt it was on my heart to share this because I know that there is most likely a lot of men watching this or listening to this, that pornography in some capacity, whether it be on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, the internet, wherever you are finding your source for lustful thoughts, I want you to know, brothers, that it is possible to reach a point where your first inclination when you see things like that is to look away, to close the account, because it is where you know you need to be as a man and as a person. But the only way to do that is to begin to open up and truly talk to God, talk to your pastor, talk to your spouse, talk to the people who are in your corner, the people that love you. Do not let pornography own another minute of your life, because it will destroy and wreck and twist things so much that you don't even have a clue what life is supposed to be like and look like. So I want you to know that If you need somebody to recommend books or things like that, reach out to Chasing Giants. They'll get you in touch with me. I promise you I'll be praying for you, and I'm going to pray for you right now if you'll bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the Chasing Giants family. Thank you so much for the opportunity for you to speak on my heart and to hopefully speak on the hearts of men and women that are listening and watching this right now. Lord, sexual temptation, sexual sin is something that we refuse all too often to truly speak about. To the point, Lord, that it makes it easy for us to keep it hidden in the closet, to keep it tucked away in the recess of our mind and of our heart. The problem is, it's there that which it grows. It's there that which it sets root and begins to filter into all aspects of our lives. And next thing we know, that sin has grown into an addiction, and it's one that we have tried, but we continue to fail to get out from under. Lord, I lift up every man and woman that is struggling, is addicted, or is tempted. I ask that you settle into their life, settle into their heart, put people in their life and resources for them to begin to open up and encourage them to talk to you, encourage them to truly release it to you and realize that even in surrender, there is victory. Because they were not made to conquer this. It's something that they were not a God. They're not made as a God. You are the God who can conquer all. And Lord, I lift up all other people who are listening and watching this, and I ask that you grant them the vision and the observation skills to see the hurting ones in their brothers and sisters who need help. Not necessarily in the topic of tonight, but just in general, Lord. Use those of us that call you our Lord and Savior. Grant us the ability and the wisdom to offer up each day and just simply ask you, Lord, what would you have me do today? Grant us that ability, Lord. We ask you, we plead with you. In your heavenly name, amen. God bless everybody.